What's up? What's happening? Welcome. Focus on this. I apologize. I'm invested. Those sick bastards aren't going anywhere, you know. This hopefully goes somewhere quick. And hopefully there's some well, that's all right. There's no more background music. The What's happening? How are you? Good to see you. Good to see you. Good to be here. Wow. I mean, what can be said about yesterday? Yesterday was insane. Um, Yesterday's show was insane. Tucson felt like it was just on fire. Um, Holy crap. Wow, what a weird day. And it sounds like no arrests still, just people being detained. And uh, that's it, you know, just detainment, investigations. I don't know if you remember, but when I first heard that this was when they were searching and we found out that it was just a tip that they were going off of, but they had a federal search warrant. I remember just kind of like rolling my eyes and went, I felt sort of deflated, I guess you could say, in a sort of a weird way, um, because we saw how that tip we saw how that tip went earlier with Mr. Carlos. Um, you know, but I just no, I did not know that. Is that true? It wouldn't surprise me. But I don't know. What did is there confirm is that confirmed? Deflated? Not. Yeah, it's just like you know. I don't think there was a body in there. look, if there was a body in there, if just by happenstance, they're going to tell you that they found her, you know. Um, Let me see. So what events? Well, another thing too. Yeah, yesterday, like the entire chat was getting derailed by people telling me a story that, frankly, I just didn't believe, and it wasn't that I didn't believe parts of the story, but the way that it was being told, I absolutely could find nothing on it. By the now, it's down the whole thing. You know, you know. Yep. See, there you go. Right. They would have immediately towed the car to a medical examiner, not open it and process. That's exactly. That's something they wouldn't have sat there for, I don't know, an hour like that, or it wouldn't have made any sense. But um, so I just I don't know. But the whole chat sort of was getting derailed. People coming in, and then people were getting mad at me. They're like, "You don't believe me." I was like, it's not that I don't believe you. I believe that you believe that. Um, but it was just, to me, it was like, it was just absolutely, it made no sense at all. None of it made any sense. And it still doesn't make any sense. I don't know if look, so it sounds like, and we'll listen to a little bit of what Anton has to say, but I don't, it sounds like there was a federal search warrant that they took out, and to get a federal search warrant, you have to have a federal judge sign off on it. I would think that the I would think that they would need a decently high standard, but who knows? I mean, when they're trying to figure this out, you know, they'll do pretty much whatever they can. Look, I'm about as confused as anybody, but for some reason, I think, and I saw somebody wrote in the chat earlier, and I don't know if I could find it. I actually I sort of agree with this. Burglary gone wrong. Now, I think that they knew who they were robbing. I don't think it was like a random burglary, but that's just what I think. And I think that if you leave a body behind, if there was a struggle, you know, or anything like that, when you leave somebody's body behind, you have a much bigger chance of getting caught, and caught quicker, because medical examiners are so good, and they can pull so much off of bodies that I think that would just make sense. Personally, I mean, I don't know. That's what I think. So I don't think it's a hoax. I don't think it's like the, you know, Papini or anything. Remember the Sherry? Was it Sherry Papini? Anybody remember her? Yeah, hiding a body is not. I mean, people do it all the time. I mean, if you ever watch Dateline, it's like 90% of the cases on there, they're looking for a body, and a lot of the times they have to find the person who's responsible for getting rid of the body to lead them to the body. They have to show them enough evidence to say, hey, look, you're cooked. It's going to behoove you to tell us the truth, and maybe we can, you know, something. It's just, that maybe they can, maybe the judge will look on them with mercy. So, did Harvey Levin really get another notes. Was it somebody? I think Rusty Shackelford here said that that Harvey's writing them. I don't believe that, but um, let's see. Purse there, belongings all there. Not a burglary gone wrong. Prior to 2013, people was infamous for having high number of ransom abductions. Yeah, but I mean, did she have a safe? Did she? I mean, we don't know. We don't exactly know what they took, Joey, or if anything was taken. Just because her purse was there, you wouldn't necessarily take somebody's whole purse. Nah, I don't. Well, I haven't heard anything. I don't know if anything had been stolen. Right? I have no idea. Well, they haven't yet, have they? I mean, it's not over. They're not done looking for them. I get it. 2 weeks they haven't been. It's going on 2 weeks, but no, we really don't know much about the inside. Yeah, you just never know. Well, it happens all the time. I mean, who was that frail little dude that died a couple years ago? What was his name? He sucked. I hated that guy. He did the Jinx. Remember that documentary? The Jinx. What was his name? Robert Durst. I mean, he got rid of bodies. I mean, that guy was dainty. He chopped up his friend, threw him in the bay, then he floated up. So, I don't know. It's just like I don't know if they Durst. Durst was the worst. Okay, so I think no, they never did find his wife. All right. Durst got away with a lot of stuff. All right, so we're going to listen to the timeline really quick. Well, once again, we don't know exactly what was. They know. They say beyond a shadow of a doubt that it was an abduction. Okay, so abduction. She was taken out of the house. We don't know if she was taken out of the house alive. She wasn't. But that's just me. That's just what I think.
And take you back to when all of this began. Sunday, January 31st, just about 30 minutes before sunset, Nancy Guthrie travels by Uber to the home of her oldest daughter, Annie. After dinner and games, son-in-law Tommaso Cioni brings her home. The time is 9:48.
Okay, so Enton just said there that Tommaso brought her home. So now is it Tommaso's the only one that brought her home? Where's Tommaso at?
2 minutes pass and the 84-year-old's garage door closes. After midnight, Monday, February 1st, a masked, armed man approaches Nancy's door. Head down, he focuses in on the home's doorbell camera, then turns back to grab foliage in a clumsy attempt to cover the device.
There's no question that this was planned.
By 1:47 a.m., that Nest Cam...
Well, I thought that they said multiple family members. I thought they said that it was Tommaso and possibly Anne. And then it was Tommaso.
Is disconnected. At 2:12 a.m., another house camera detects movement. 16 minutes later,
So, Brooke, don't tell me that it's always been just Tommaso, because that's not what I've heard.
28, Nancy's pacemaker disconnects from the app on her phone. Later that morning, a friend who regularly hosts Nancy to watch a streamed church service alerts the family that she's absent. 11:56, family goes to Nancy's home to investigate. 7 minutes later, 911 is called.
Nancy Debrick, 84-year-old white female, 5'4", 150, brown and blue, last and wearing unknown clothing.
12:15, sheriff's deputies arrive at Nancy's house and the search begins.
Breaking overnight, Nancy Guthrie, Savannah's 84-year-old mother, now at the center of a missing persons case.
Monday, February 2nd, the nation wakes to learn of Guthrie's family's nightmare. The Today Show begins without Savannah and with grave news.
And our thoughts and our prayers are with our dear friend and colleague and her family this morning.
I completely understand. But now what I'm just saying is that Brian Enton just said, and I'm not trying to read into it too much, but he just said Tommaso.
Saw some things at the home that were concerning to us.
9 a.m., the Pena County Sheriff's press conference is carried live from coast to coast.
This is a 84-year-old lady who suffers from some physical ailments, is in need of medication that if she doesn't have in 24 hours, it could be fatal.
A local TV station receives a ransom note with specific details about what Nancy was wearing and with two distinct deadlines.
We're gathering some DNA samples to get those to our crime lab. But yes, it's evident to us that she was moved from that house against her will.
By the next day, Tuesday, February 3rd, the sheriff updates News Nation about that DNA.
It confirmed that the DNA that we found belonged to
Hold on.
Nancy, Savannah's mom.
It's announced that Savannah will be pulling out of Olympics coverage, and she asked the nation, just pray on Instagram. While sheriff's helicopters circle, News Nation brings viewers a sobering scene. We were able to get up close to the house right near the front door, and there is blood. There is a blood trail near the front door of Nancy Guthrie's house. Wednesday, February 4th, days after the crime scene is released, law enforcement converges with dogs, a perimeter, and investigators all over the property.
Are they getting things in the garage, or are they just using it to go in and out?
And love for her daughters and family.
Nancy's neighbors gather in prayer.
Hang in there, Nancy. You got this.
President Trump posts pledging immediate federal support.
On behalf of our family.
And for the first time, we hear from the anguished family, directly addressing the kidnapper.
She is a devoted friend. She is full of kindness and knowledge. Talk to her and you'll see.
Thursday, February 5th sees a meager reward for information bump up to $50,000. Deputies canvass behind Annie Guthrie's home. A 5 p.m. ransom deadline comes and goes, and Nancy's only son posts a message.
Whoever is out there holding our mother, we want to hear from you.
The FBI deploys digital billboards on Friday, February 6th. Nancy's car is towed. We learn another ransom note goes to a local TV station.
Is it, written by the same person? It's very difficult to tell.
And reporters aboard Air Force One get a briefing.
We have some clues, I think, that are very strong, and I think we could have some answers coming up fairly soon.
We got very good clues. We got the best clues. We could have some answers soon. Wow, we might have some answers.
Saturday, February 7th, brings a flurry of activity both at Nancy and
I think he just needs to stick to local color.
Annie Guthrie's home.
So I'm outside Annie Guthrie's house. Saw camera flashes from inside the house coming from the windows. So
Nancy's children release another emotional video.
We received your message and we understand. We beg you now to return our mother to us.
The septic tank behind Nancy's home is searched.
Doesn't change the fact that the Today Show, total losers, trash.
Searched on Sunday the 8th.
Thank you for watching.
Jesus. Honestly, we got to start a petition to News Nation to get Cuomo off of every single video at the end where they turn the volume up 35%. Get him off of it. Him and his brother, both losers, Governor Nipple Rings. Golly. I mean, it's just it's too much. We got to join hands across America here. It's too much. It's too loud. Like, do they not? Jeez. I mean, Jesus Christos, for God's sake. Let it go. All right. I don't know what this will be interesting though. But guess what? I bet you at the very end, let's just get this out of the way right now. That way we can stop it right before.
News Nation app right now on your.
Oh, dude, we get it. We get it. Why not have Brian do it?
It's not going to take that long. They're going to send the DNA. The sheriff is probably going to send that DNA to that private lab in Florida, which specializes in touch DNA. It's not going to take.
Wow, Cuomo, what a loser. I remember when he got called, what was it that he got called? Fredo? Somebody called him Fredo. And he got pissed and he was like, I'll wreck you. He's like, and then he said, that's like calling somebody, that's like calling a black person the N-word. And I was thinking, it's really not. It's not the same at all. Plus his brother has nipple rings. That's a fact.
It's not going to take that long. They're going to send the DNA. The sheriff is probably going to send that DNA to that private lab in Florida, which specializes in touch DNA. And they can do a one-to-one comparison with the known DNA that they have and this person to see if it matches. What they cannot do is they don't have the ability to run it through CODIS. So it's going to have to go probably to the FBI lab at that point so that we can keep this lab situation down to a manageable number. And then the FBI or the sheriff's department can run it through CODIS, the National Database for DNA, and then determine if that, will hit with anyone else. But the DNA sample that the FBI is or that the private lab is in possession of, if they have sent it back to the lab, to the sheriff already, it's already in CODIS. If they haven't, then they're going to have to send it back to the sheriff or to the FBI to get it uploaded into CODIS and then compared.
Maureen, we've all seen the horrifying, frightening photos from the front of the house that the FBI was able to get off the Google Nest camera of the man, covered from head to toe. Do you think, and I've thought a lot about this, do you think someone else involved, and I don't mean just someone else to plan this thing, I mean someone else who was actually at the house that night and also went into the house to kidnap Nancy?
Well, obviously we're not sure, but I would say it's probably likely there was someone driving the car. And the car could have been right there in the driveway. It could have been halfway through the circle driveway. We don't have the entire video. I'm sure the FBI has much more video. Did this
Eric, why did they take it? Well, like I said, I don't know what they took. I mean, maybe they, they're not really saying exactly what they took. No, we were going to do a Valentine's Day show, but I was really busy today during the day. It sucked. And then, plus, like I said, I've just been really invested in this, unfortunately. So anyway, I apologize. Happy Valentine's Day to everybody.
Person attempt to open the front door here? Did they have a key to the front door? Did they go around to the back door? Do we have that video? There's just a lot of unanswered questions, but for me, it would make a lot more sense if you had at least two people involved in this conspiracy and the other person was driving the vehicle.
Why do you think his backpack is so full, Maureen? It looks stuffed. I mean, what do you think could be in there?
Cheez-Its. Capri Suns.
Violent criminals, he's obviously got a proclivity to violence, and that's one of the questions when you're trying to analyze the offender of a situation like this. He's got a proclivity and a predisposition to violence because she was bleeding on the front steps when she left. So there's just no question there. That is an actual fact that we know. So, and he's got that gun on his waistband, but with regard to that backpack, could he have a tarp? Could he have?
I'm sad too, to be honest. I'm so you're not alone. We're all sad. It's sad. It's a sad day. What a day. Very sad. Yeah, I say, wow, what a sad day.
Of restraints.
I don't know what to tell you. I'm sorry.
Could he have
Jesus.
tape? Those would be the things I would expect to find in something like that. He could have rope. Who knows? But this is why when municipal law enforcement officers pull people over and they see kits like this in their trunk, or burglary tools or whatever, it gives them probable cause to search or detain or even arrest.
Sad day, bad day.
And just real quick, Maureen, there's something I learned about that hasn't been reported yet. We saw a helicopter very low over Nancy's house and in the surrounding area the other day. And I'm told there was something called a signal sniffer on one of the skids of the helicopter, a very, very small box, like less than 7 inches long, that could actually detect Nancy's pacemaker. And again, I have not heard this reported before, but we were able to confirm it. And it just made me think about all the technology that the FBI is likely using now that we don't know about. I mean, is there AI involved? What else do you think other tools they may be using that we just don't know?
They'll be using every tool we have to try to bring Nancy home. With regard to this particular tool, I don't know. But I do know that the pacemaker sends off a very short distance alert or whatever. So they're going to have to get really close. How close were they to the ground?
They were close, Maureen. Yeah, that's what was so interesting when we saw the helicopter. They were so low, and we were all talking about it. Like, what are they doing? Why are they hovering so low in different spots around the yard? Come to find out, they actually had this signal sniffer sent in, special for this. It's it's like a special.
To be honest with you, I'm kind of used to it. It's like some people are like, why don't you do more shows by yourself? And then when it's just me, they're like, it's just you? Oh, man.
Piece of equipment that had to be sent in, which it makes sense now why they were hovering so low. Maureen O'Connell, I always appreciate talking to you and your expertise. Thank you for joining us tonight.
Yeah.
Thanks, Brian. You're doing a great job.
Does that make it just okay to sit here and go, well, I'm sad that Dr. B's not? Look, Dr. B will be here again. He's here a lot, all the time, actually. Not today. So just relax.
Thank you. You always do a great job.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download.
Golly, dude. And you made me not be ready for the Cuomo promo. So that's on you.
A timeline.
No, it's like, okay, all right, I get it. I don't know what to do. Oh my God, our boy, dude, our boy's back.
Now is Bob Krieger. He is a former Pima County SWAT. You were the sergeant of the SWAT team, right? You were pretty much over the SWAT team.
Commander, yeah.
Commander, yes.
For the last 5 years,
It's
off and on.
It's nice to see you again, Bob.
Thank you.
Walk us through a little bit of what you know about this operation last night, and are you surprised? The sheriff texted me this morning that there were no arrests.
I'll start by saying I'm not surprised there were no arrests.
This guy right here. I just explained, and this is the last time I'm going to explain it. I didn't set up a show with Dr. B tonight. I was busy today, all day, with other things, and I didn't connect with him, which is my fault. And then I was like, well, I want to talk about this. Okay. Moving on. Quit playing games with my heart.
That's not uncommon in an operation like that. SWAT serves a couple different functions. First and foremost, is to make the scene safe for the investigators. They are not really concerned with evidence collection, things like that. They're concerned with taking everyone into custody, doing that safely, and giving the investigators a safe scene to work with. So it's not uncommon to go through an operation like that. They were there to collect evidence and interview people, and that all got accomplished. So last night was a success.
And that'll just take time now, because I'm assuming, just like we saw at the situation near the border, you know, they take electronics. I'd imagine all that's going to take some time. We're not going to see an immediate arrest.
Exactly. Unless there was evidence gained that it was rock solid and it was time for the arrest, then they would do it then. But again, not uncommon. Sometimes these, as we can tell now, we're in the second week. These investigations can take a long time to get what they need to get the probable cause to make an arrest.
So many people around the country and really around the world are following this case and have questions about this case. And we received a couple of videos from people who had questions for you, specifically one about cameras in the area. I want to play this, and then I want to get your reaction.
Can you provide any clarity on the traffic camera situation there in Tucson? Because I've heard that they don't really have traffic cams that the police can rely on in this investigation. And second question, do they
It's only been going on for, I don't know, 5 years. So
have license plate readers in that area?
Okay, you're the perfect guy for this.
So on the first part of that question, we do not have many red light cameras or anything like that. There are a handful within the city limits. We had them years ago. The voters chose they didn't want them, so they were removed. So as far as the camera technology goes, specific to those cameras, there aren't a lot of them. License plate readers, there are definitely more of those. There are also private folks who are running license plate readers as kind of a side hustle.
Really? That's interesting.
Oh yeah, they'll work them to find stolen cars for repossessions, things.
I love this guy, dude. Look at that, man. If he buttoned that top button, his Adam's apple would be choked down to his.
Like that. So that's not uncommon. The technology is out there, and
that's a high button shirt, man. Way high.
There are other systems available to us as far as
Real
cameras
Nike.
go. The Department of Transportation. There are companies out there that we can work with that have cameras that can provide us information. The bad thing is, if we don't know what we're looking for, you know, the cameras are just showing license plates and cars.
Right.
So we need more to go on. But if they can get something, then the technology is also there to start looking through those cameras and seeing, you know, license plate ABC 123 went through it this time.
Yeah, and until you're here, you don't realize just, you know, how much brush there is. There's the cactuses, there's bushes. I mean, and the houses are set back off the road.
Yes.
So even if someone had a Ring camera, it seems difficult that they would actually capture something on the roads in these neighborhoods.
In neighborhoods like this, yes, they're not the cookie cutter type neighborhoods where you can see right behind us, nothing but brush. And so until you're on property, walking up to the door, there's not a lot that you're going to see. You might get a little bit of movement at the street, but unfortunately, a lot of times in these types of neighborhoods, you're not getting what you really want.
Something else I wanted to ask you about, Bob, is before we went out and witnessed what SWAT was doing last night, which was really impressive, by the way. You're the Pima team. I mean, I know you were the boss of the team, so I mean, it's impressive to see them in action.
Good to hear.
But I heard a plane in the air, and I was told that Pima County has a surveillance plane.
It does.
Do you think that was associated with the operation, and is that plane assisting right now?
The sheriff's department does have a good aerial fleet. We have a good unit. We do have a plane. I don't know if it was up specifically last night, especially with the weather, but it very well could have been. It works hand in hand with our patrol. It works hand in hand on almost every SWAT mission that we would run, because having that aerial platform, again, going back to the primary goal of making that scene safe for the investigator.
I don't know. I don't think I said anything about him. The question is, wait, I missed what you said about this guy. Sorry. What did you say about this guy in particular? Just that he reminds me of a Backstreet Boy reunion tour.
It's up there. It's looking for people who might be running, leaving the scene. If it was a plane and it saw a vehicle leave prior to the SWAT team getting there, they probably followed it, and that's what helped with the traffic stop on that vehicle.
Do you think, Bob, that we're getting closer? I mean, the hope is, yeah, we're all out here. You know, we want Nancy to be found.
I hope we're getting closer, and I think we are. Every day, there's more information coming in. The investigators are able to follow up on more. Sooner or later, they're going to get that piece of evidence, no matter what it is. And it's just going to take time with as many pieces out there to sift through it. So the short answer is, yes, we are getting closer. That endpoint might not be for a while, or it could be this evening.
And this is why I think that it could possibly be some sort of targeted robbery gone wrong. Because if you think about what makes this such a difficult case, it would be nobody. Her missing has hampered this investigation in the way that somebody that had taken her and did God knows what has intended. It has intended. It had the intended effect.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of time when we get there.
I guess we'll see what happens tonight. And I said we'll be ready to roll again, just like we were last night. So thank you, Bob.
My pleasure.
Your time.
Damn, Brian.
Thank you.
Oh, caught it just in time. Just in time. I heard, though, that the sheriff, I got to make sure that I heard that the sheriff said that this could take days, weeks, or years. Did anybody else hear that? I swear I read that.
Friday night, a glimmer
That's honesty.
of hope that the disappearance of Nancy Guthrie was at a turning point, a dramatic traffic stop, and a home raided by SWAT team members. Another man detained.
Well, that backpack is full. If it was a robbery, wouldn't he go there with an empty backpack? Robbers have tools. Pliers, knives, zip ties, all kinds of stuff. So it may not, yeah. They have robbery tools.
And released. No arrests, according to the sheriff. So what happens now as concern grows about whether the person seen on Nancy's front steps on February 1st will ever be found and Nancy will ever be brought home? We're on the case presented by Law and Crime. I'm
This is
Chris Stewart.
Oh, Stewart. I don't think I know who that is. Oh, yeah. I know who it is.
14 days later, and we still don't know where Nancy Guthrie is or who took her in the middle of the night from her home back on February 1st. Now, there was a lot of activity that we need to talk about.
I don't know, because yesterday they had 3 people detained. And it sounds like they're still processing that stuff. So it sounds like they're still processing, I mean, that was a lot of firepower for a tip. I mean, it was a lot.
Talk about that happened last night, specifically at a home 2 miles roughly from Nancy Guthrie's house. Also, there was a dramatic traffic stop that was allegedly related to the search for Nancy Guthrie. And these are pictures of investigators, FBI, and sheriff's deputies going through a vehicle that they pulled over in a traffic stop. The car was pulled over at a Culver's fast food restaurant. It's unclear why that vehicle was targeted. Now, the other activity with law enforcement happened at a home. The New York Times says the home, again, about 2 miles from Nancy Guthrie's house, it's in what's considered an upscale neighborhood, according to the New York Times. A woman lives there with her adult son. And this is according to a neighbor who spoke to the outlet. Now, the woman reportedly declined to comment to the media outlet. The Pima County Sheriff says that the reason that the SWAT team went to that home was because of a tip they received, and it was a federal court-ordered search warrant that was executed at that house. According to the sheriff, one man was...
Okay, but Doris, and I'm with you. I understand that. It's a great question. But do you believe that this was a kidnapping or ransom? Or do you think that the ransom is BS, because if it's the ransom situation is BS, which it seems to have amounted to nothing, the ransom, then what else could it be? What else could it be? So, I mean, there's a couple different things, I guess, but it doesn't seem like the ransom thing worked out. Maybe not a planned kidnapping. So then what was it? A dispute? That could be it. Maybe somebody was pissed off. Maybe somebody lost their temper. Losing your temper with an 84-year-old woman and getting rid of her body? Well, that seem a little I mean, every single angle that you look at it from seems weird. All of it is weird. An 84-year-old lady has been missing for 2 weeks.
Detained and questioned, then released. No one was arrested. Now, it is unclear what the FBI took from the home, and it is possible.
And I get it. I know that people want to blame Tomato really bad because Ashley Banfield opened her pie hole and said that he was the main suspect, which is fine. She's allowed to do that, but it didn't help. I don't think it helped anything. But then you had them searching his their home. So okay, so that adds another layer to it. I got it. But what I'm saying is it could have been it could be domestic, but they're checking ransoms that they are swatting people's homes.
That they are still following.
It doesn't confirm that. It confirms that she was desperately trying to do what she could to get answers. It doesn't confirm that it was legit.
Leads based on what took place and what they found inside the house. It's important to remember that with a search warrant, you have to provide evidence to a judge who looks and says, okay, this is something where I believe you can go into someone's house and take property out of it. So you look at that and you have to believe that law enforcement had at least something that pointed them in the direction of this house. But remember, earlier in the week, they did a raid at a home near the U.S.-Mexico border, about an hour from Tucson. You remember that man, Carlos, a DoorDash delivery driver. He's pulled over, he's detained, and he's questioned, but then he's released by law enforcement. And according to the sheriff of Pima County, Carlos's alibi seems to check out. So it doesn't seem like he was involved in the disappearance of Nancy Guthrie. Now, Friday night's raid happened hours after a major piece of information was confirmed by the Pima County sheriff that DNA, other than Nancy Guthrie's, was found inside the home. Now, it's unclear if that DNA belongs to the masked man seen out.
Yes, but that wasn't enough to set off the frenzy of him being the last one to see her is not the same thing as a major news reporter saying that he's a person, he is not, not even a person of interest, that he's supposedly the main suspect. That's what set this off. It wasn't that just because, and then, yeah, did some of that get substantiated possibly because they were searching his house, her house? Well, yes, but then you could just go, well, that was but everything, let's be honest, everything ties back to her initially saying this. And then on top of them searching the home and him being the last one. So, okay. So why are they just following random tips then, pulling people out of their homes, taking cars? I mean, there's more to it. There has to be.
Outside of her home around the time that she was kidnapped. And it's important to remember that it very well could just be the DNA of someone who was inside her house, maybe a friend, maybe someone who worked at the home to help her. We know that hired help like gardeners have been asked to provide DNA samples.
Hi, Holly. How are you? Good.
Now, speaking of Nancy Guthrie's house, we have to talk about a very bizarre scene that played out yesterday at her home. This is on Friday, and this is a picture of a pool cleaning company that came to Nancy Guthrie's house and cleaned the pool.
And Barney Fife said, and I don't like that name for him because I think Barney Fife's like awesome, but a lot of you are calling him that. I don't have that. I don't really have much of a problem with him at all. But Sheriff, I don't remember his name because I called him Barney. I shouldn't have done that. But the sheriff said that the family's like been nothing but cooperative
In her backyard. Now, this raised some questions, raised some eyebrows, considering Nancy Guthrie's house is a crime scene. The Pima County Sheriff said that the Guthrie family requested someone come and service the pool. Now, in an interview with Fox News, the sheriff addressed reports that a member of the Guthrie family may be a suspect in the case. We have heard that from the early days of this investigation. And the sheriff appeared to brush that off to an extent, saying that the Guthrie family has been 100% cooperative. They've done everything that law enforcement has asked them. But then when he was asked if any members of the Guthrie family have been ruled out as a suspect in the case, he said, no one has been ruled out. The Pima County Sheriff's Department has also put out statements saying that they don't have suspects or persons of interest in this case. Now, this does appear to be a major lead in the case. I want to show you this here. This, according to the FBI, is the type of backpack that the person spotted outside of Nancy's home, tampering with her front door.
And you can sue if you are stopped unjustly, unlawfully. But when there's federal search warrants, good luck.
Camera was wearing in those images. Now, the backpack, it is a 25-liter Ozark Trail hiker pack backpack. And very interesting, the only place that you can get it is Walmart. That's it. Now, it's not some small sporting goods store, but it is something. And you have to believe that law enforcement is talking to Walmart and getting records and going through who bought that backpack, maybe in recent weeks or recent months, if there's anything there that could help lead them to that person we see in the images released by the FBI. Now, it could be huge in finding that person we see on the surveillance video on the front porch. And when you look at that video of the person in the mask and you see that backpack, you notice that the backpack is full. It's unclear what they have inside of it. Now, along with the images of the backpack, the FBI also put out a description of this person. They say the suspect is a male, standing around 5'9" or 5'10" with an average build. May not sound like a lot, but when you think of that height, you can rule out a lot of people.
5'6".
Now, the FBI also doubled the amount of money it's offering as a reward for information that would help find Nancy Guthrie and the person or people who took her. So that reward from the FBI is now at $100,000. Law enforcement confirmed to media that a pair of gloves was also found during an extensive search of Nancy's neighborhood. It's unclear if they are connected to Nancy's case. The Pima County Sheriff told KVOA TV that, quote, quite a number of gloves have been found in their search efforts, and some of them are as far away as 10 minutes to the east and 10 minutes to the west. It is unclear if any of those things could help find Nancy Guthrie. Now, the Pima County Sheriff, in his interview with Fox News, also said that they did not find a glove inside Nancy Guthrie's house or on her property specifically. It's unclear what other pieces of video law enforcement have.
Okay, let's see. If the unmasked guy from the other doorbell camera is the person of interest that they questioned and released, then that mother and son that was also questioned and released are connected to him. I'm not sure which one you're talking about. Are you talking about the guy that had the backpack looking over the fence? Because I think that he was ruled out pretty quickly.
In this case, if it's more than just what we've seen, that we know the FBI had to go and dig very deep, they say, into the servers for the Nest camera to pull out images that they didn't think existed until just a couple of days ago, showing that man on the front steps. Again, it's unclear what other pieces of information they have. The video that they
Sapphire. Can you imagine how the family felt when they saw that image on their mother's camera? No, I honestly, I really can't, because when I saw that image, I went, holy crap. I mean, it's terrifying. Seriously, it really, really is terrifying. Guy has a gun, and it's just weird, man.
Potentially could release
Terrifying, really.
to the public, but we do know that they are asking the public for more video, specifically
It's true.
people with home surveillance cameras, just like Nancy Guthrie apparently had. Thursday afternoon, the sheriff put this call out saying that they want video from January 1st to February 2nd, 2026 of a 2-mile radius of this part of town. This is near East Skyline Drive and North Campbell Avenue, and they want anything that shows vehicles, traffic,
I don't even-
pedestrians, or suspicious.
I don't get shaken up very easily, but that under the circumstances, when you see that and you just go like, ugh.
Activity. Now, Nancy's home is about a 4-minute drive south of that intersection, and law enforcement say they are reaching out to people on the Neighbors app.
Absolutely.
So anybody watching, if you get a request from law enforcement for video, if you're joining us from Pima County, Arizona,
Jason, I got your message. I responded to you. It would be interesting to know what the family PI is finding. If they are working closely with LE, it's time for FBI to completely take over. It sounds like they sort of, it's not that they have taken over, but the sheriff explained why they were using the lab that they were using. I mean, I guess it sounded reasonable to me. I mean, it sounds reasonable, but who knows? I mean, are they worried about leaks? What are they worried about?
official request will have like a blue check mark on it. Now, law enforcement also put a link out on X for people to submit videos as evidence. Previously, law enforcement did say they were looking for video at specific times that I want to talk about again, because KVOA TV said that people in the Catalina Foothills area of Tucson, that's where Nancy lives, were asked for surveillance camera footage for very specific times, like January 11th between 9 p.m. and midnight. That's roughly 22 days before Nancy was taken. Then they also want footage from the morning of January 31st. That's the day before Nancy was taken, between 9:30 in the morning and 11 a.m. And KVOA says that's because there is a suspicious vehicle on a street at around 10 o'clock in the morning nearby. So with that said, I want to show you the missing persons poster that's now out by the FBI. And again, the reward at $100,000 for information to find her or the people who may have taken her. And if you have any information on Nancy Guthrie, contact the Pima County Sheriff's Department, 520-351-4900 for the FBI, 1-800-CALL-FBI, or tips.fbi.gov.
No, I've heard nothing about. I've heard nothing other than PIs were hired and that they were at the home. The Guthrie home, or Annie Guthrie's home, getting mail, or that's really all I've heard. I have no idea if they're working with anybody or not. I don't know. This is the kind of stuff. This is the kind of stuff that like seems legit, but then you go, well, where'd you hear that at? Because I'm listening to the same stuff. So I don't know what the 41. What do you mean the 41 minutes? They were looking for pharmaceutical paperwork. Why would they be looking for pharmaceutical paperwork? Wild Thing 3455 says the 41 minutes in the house was used by intruders looking for paperwork on the pharmaceutical company. What? The hell does that mean? No, I think he's pissed about last night.
Joining us now to talk about the latest on this case is retired NYPD Detective Tom Smith, co-host of the Gold Shield Show. It's always great to have you on Law and Crime. Last night, we're following along once again as a SWAT team moves in. You have two different locations. You have this traffic stop, and then you have a raid of a house. And from the outside, it feels like, okay, here we go. This is, it's heading in the right direction. And now we're finding out that both people who are detained have been released. What do you make of that development?
Well, let's back up a little bit with what happened before that. They had to have enough evidence to go in front of a judge and get a warrant. So in order to get the warrant, you got to show the probable cause of that warrant, not just where you want it, but you have to get into specifics about what you're looking for and where in that house you're going to search. You can't just blankly get a I want a search warrant for this house. So they would have had to have laid this case out to a judge about what they have, and none of this obviously we know, in the public. So the judge was convinced that they had enough to issue this warrant, and then they went and tactically took it down and took the warrant into play and came up with what it was. So where we're at now is, again, every time in this case, Chris, we go kind of 3 or 4 steps forward, we go back 5. And that's just the way the pace of this.
Okay, so this is how this works. I'm going to read your comment out loud, Colleen, and I appreciate your comment, but this is how this works. The 40 minutes in the house was the perp waiting for the truck to arrive from accomplice so he can put her in the car, most likely already deceased. And then after that, you need to put, in my opinion, because you're stating it as fact, and it's not fact. Your comment is fine, but you gotta really it's your opinion, because if you knew that would be amazing.
The case has been going, but it's not unusual. Complex cases like this is what happens.
Yeah, and we were talking to a retired homicide detective from Pima County yesterday, and it was about, I just asked about, because I can see frustration from the public, and I know, like, if you're an investigator, like, who cares what the public, someone on the internet and like criticism like that, but
it's not, though. It's not obviously her opinion. It's what she said.
It's like they keep going back to Nancy's house or Annie's house, and it's like, well, what did you find today that you couldn't have found like yesterday? And I know that that's just kind of how this process goes forward. When someone is detained, we'll see someone get arrested and we know that then they're in custody. But then there's also times where it might be a witness or someone who may have some.
It's not obvious. It's not obvious. You said it as a fact. So here's what I don't want to spend a lot of time on this, but if I were to read this, okay, the 40 minutes in the house was the perp waiting for the truck to arrive from the accomplice so he could put her in the car. That sound like an opinion?
Information, and then they're invited down to the police station, and then they can, have an interview with detectives there. How would you characterize that?
Well, it all depends on the circumstances. All right. These are very specific circumstances that have to do with the search warrant. So when that was one of the points that came out last night, one of them was handcuffed. People get handcuffed for everyone's safety. That is why they're handcuffed, because the police going in, the agents going in, don't know who these people are. And if it has anything to do related to this crime, the perp who was at that front door did have a firearm on them. So you have to take that all into account. Detaining them.
Honestly, it's not. I have no problem with you giving an opinion. That's not the issue. It just sounded like a factual statement.
It means they can't hold them indefinitely, but at that moment, they're not free to leave until questions are answered. Now, if they want a lawyer, fine. That's their absolute right to do so. But they're conducting an investigation, and at that time are not free to leave. Then process goes on, things get straightened out, questions get answered, and then, everyone's free to go, and we'll be in touch. I guarantee you, as I sit here, they're not alone. All right. There's a couple of cars around that area making sure they don't take off. They don't head to an airport. They don't head for a border, something like that, because they're still on the radar. And there's
come on.
Still questions out there about that warrant last night.
With the detaining as well, like I know you can hold someone for like 24 hours. And in this case, I think they were held for about 12 or less. Do you read into anything that they were let go, where it wasn't like, we're going to hold you up until that exact moment, which would be probably like 3:00 tomorrow morning or something like that, like when they were brought into custody? Do you read into the fact that they were released far before, they could have been released?
No, because what, as a detective who did this, we took people in for questioning all the time. The people who have intimate knowledge of this case and every piece of evidence they have are going to know within a little while whether these people are involved or not, just through questioning, through interviews, through some sort of
Come
interrogation.
back, Colleen.
They're going to know.
Colleen, come back. Don't leave. Don't leave. Everybody, we're not picking on you specifically. I was just making a point.
Whether they're on
I'm sorry.
the right track or not. And if you're on the right track, that time frame extends, obviously. If you know that they're not involved, then you don't really play games with it, trying to come up with different things. But they're gonna, I guarantee you they took their time, and the people who have the best knowledge of this case are the ones who are questioning them to make sure all the questions got answered and they're on the right track, or they're not on.
This is how Josh stays married, I bet. Yeah. I stay
the
married.
right track. And obviously there was enough last night with the interviews that were conducted to let them go at this time.
And when you look at, and I know the gentleman Carlos in Rio, Ricos, Arizona earlier, the sheriff said earlier this week that his alibi seems to check out, but it was like cell phone data that had them believing that he was someone that they just wanted to talk to. And then they did a court-ordered search of his home. And then we don't really know the details as of yet officially about what led them to this house about 2 miles from Nancy Guthrie's home. And then you have this traffic stop at a Culver's nearby. But just from what you're kind of seeing on the outside, like what seems to be the strategy of how they're identifying people who they want to talk to?
Oh, there's probably a number of ways, Chris. You have cell phone data. You have any DNA test they're doing. We don't know the results of the plea to the public of looking at their cameras on their houses for a certain period of time. So, and just the leads that are coming in. I mean, they're up to, I think, 30,000 leads.
I mean, your guess is as good as mine at this point. I don't know.
That they have gotten since the video came out. So you have to track them down. And
in your opinion,
if one comes
in your opinion, Josh knows everything.
That's viable, and you go through it and you can collaborate what they're saying on the tip, that's going to lead to maybe another step and another step. So it all has to do with what's being collected and what the investigators know right now. And again, I'm telling you right now, we know maybe 5% of what they know right now.
And that's a good point, especially because, and I can see the exhaustion in the comment section of some of our stories. And then if you search online, if people just wanting an answer to this case, but it is taking time to, definitively figure out what happened. Kind of one other kind of anecdotal part of it that stood out to me was in the detaining the other night with the gentleman near the US-Mexico border. Like he talked about whether it was the agents or deputies who were interviewing him, that they had said they think that his eyes look like the person in the surveillance picture. And then his mother-in-law said that when they came into the home with the search warrant, they showed the surveillance pictures and said, "Is this your son-in-law?" And it's like, when I heard that, like I was worried where it felt like they really thought they had the guy and they didn't, according to the sheriff. Is there any concern that might have been the path that they were taking? But then really at the end of the day, like now they're kind of, okay, this guy wasn't it. Now we have to start back at square one and figure out who else might have been in the area that night.
Josh, did you see the sketch artist? Did you see the sketch the artist did of the suspect? She used to do it professionally for law enforcement. Very interesting. Yeah, I saw. I saw big time.
Oh, sure. I hope, I
watched it. Yeah.
I'm gonna take a leap in doing this for over 30 years that they didn't just go on what the eyes look like. All right. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say there was a lot more to it than just his eyes. They might have said that to him or his family, but you're not going to a judge to get a warrant and saying, well, his eyes match. So there was much more to do with that. But the thing about this, Chris, is you have, and let me just try to explain how it works. So when you have this complex of a case, you have certain groups and certain teams that are tasked to do certain things. LPR readers, surveillance cameras, background checks of people in the area, criminal histories of people. You have different teams who are tasked to do stuff.
Yes, that's what the sheriff said. Yeah. Brandy says DNA was found in the home unrelated to Nancy or anyone that she knew, like family and things like that. But that's the other thing. You with these search warrants, I'm sure that they're taking DNA from all these people. I mean, they would need a warrant to do so, but I would expect that that's what they're doing. I mean, we don't know that just because last night people were released that they didn't have some good lead. I'm not saying they did or they didn't, in my opinion.
So even when this happens and a takedown of this magnitude took place last night, all those other groups are still working and they're still coming up with other things that might lead them to the conclusion of this case. So just because an operation like last night takes place, everything doesn't shut down.
He stole what I said.
Everything's still going on. So as much as last night we all thought looked good, there's still leads that are being followed up.
And there's so many cases where even with, statements that are made by law enforcement to the public, like they could be working something else behind the scenes entirely. I keep thinking back to Brian Koberger and it was, hey, we don't have a suspect, and everybody's piling on law enforcement in Idaho, but they very much did. They were just kind of building their case as it goes. Clearly in that situation, though, you're dealing with what we knew at the time was a murder. In this case, it's still trying to figure out where Nancy Guthrie actually is. On some of the public statements part of it, and this is, maybe it's something that's playing out on the sideline, but it's everybody trying to read into the sheriff and what he's saying. And he was giving news conferences, but now he's not. But then he's giving some statements in interviews. And you see the public frustration from that. Like, really, at the end of the day, and I'm all for, getting as much information as we can in the media, but how much does like the public side of it and how much they know? And I know that there's a ton of speculation and this is very unique that way. How much does that actually impact the people who are working on this case?
Well, you try not to listen to what's going on outside of those teams, because then you just get distracted and you can start going down a path that isn't a lead and doesn't mean much, but you're taking up the resources to do that. Do I agree with not completely freezing out everyone? No. I think there's a certain level that you need to keep everyone just informed, not specifics, not to jeopardize the integrity of the case, but just keep them informed. Because, like I've said numerous times, Chris, when you completely freeze everybody out is when conspiracy theories start and rumors start and people's imaginations just go off on a tangent. And that's what gets distracting, because then those people who are thinking just
this is a I've thought about this too, actually. Cassie says, I'm not gonna lie, in my opinion, being kidnapped for 2 weeks. Or did Colleen really leave? I mean, it's unbelievable. In my opinion, being kidnapped for 2 weeks at 84, probably worse than passing away quickly in a home invasion. I feel horrible either way. Well, that's the other. I think about that too. I think about the shock that she would have went through initially, and then the strain and stress and just everything that goes along with being held captive at that age, at any age. It's traumatic. But yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
weirdest and wildest things, they're the ones making calls into that tip line, taking time out of investigators to work real leads and leads that are viable, not just someone's imagination because they haven't heard from the sheriff or the FBI in a couple of days.
Yeah, because it's and we're starting to see that. I mean, you just search online and you're like, and you're trying to follow down every lead, even on our end, trying to figure out what might actually be a legitimate thing to follow. And so much of it is just not true. And we'll see how the rest of this case plays out. I haven't had a chance to ask you just about the surveillance video that came in. And when you see this person in their mask, they had that backpack, we believe we know the brand and that it's something that was sold at Walmart. Like, what stood out to you the first time you saw that video?
The first time I saw it, and I watched it. I remember when I finally got it
It's good to know.
and watched it about 5, 6, 7 times.
Johnny Supertramp 1090. I'm a felon too, and well, shit, I haven't changed.
And kept coming up with the same conclusion. He's not a master criminal. All right, he's an amateur about what he's doing. And I still, to this day, I've said it over and over again in the beginning of this case. I don't think the target of this was a kidnapping. I think that was a secondary thought. He doesn't act like he's in any rush. It's, oh my God, I got to get in this house before the person in the house sees me.
Look, I'm a convicted felon.
He doesn't have that kind of demeanor while he's walking around the house. And so to me, I don't even think he knew someone was home. He
Twice
might have been watching the house earlier and seen Nancy leave, but then had no idea she came back. He doesn't seem like he's in a rush to do anything. If someone's in a house and they're your target to get, of a kidnapping, you're in a rush. You got to get in and out, get it, grab it in the car and away. Not just walk in and trying to cover a camera, and all that was very weird to me. And like I said, I still think the kidnapping was not the initial plan, but a secondary crime.
Yeah, because I felt like watching it. It's like on one hand, he had no idea that the camera was there until he saw it, but it like didn't phase him, which like that was kind of chilling. Where I mean, you often see with like people who are trying to break into homes and like some of these Ring doorbell cameras, like they book the second that they think that they're actually on camera, and like this person wasn't phased by it at all. The backpack, knowing the brand of it, knowing it was sold at Walmart, it seems like a pretty big lead that could help them, but at the same time, it's not like a small sporting goods store, and who knows if that backpack was even purchased within the last, couple months or years. Like, how big of a deal is that to trying to piece together who that is?
Well, it becomes a big puzzle. You see the video, you identify the backpack, the stores that it's sold in. So you go to those stores, and I would go back at least a month or two to try to see if they could come up with a SKU number of that time frame, and if any were sold during that time. And then you're going to match that up with maybe any videos that are over registers, of maybe anyone being captured buying those. It takes a lot. Don't get me wrong, I just rattled that off in about 15 seconds, and it's a lot. It's a lot of hard work. It's a lot of meticulous work, but it is something to follow up on, and a lead that can be run down. And I think that's what they're doing, because you're going to start in that area. So you're going to go to the closest Walmart, and then you're going to kind of work outward, from there. But Walmart's not the only store that sells it. It's just one of the most popular ones. So you're running into just other merchants as well.
Cesar says, in my opinion, they're targeting delivery drivers due to pings near Nancy. It's possible
that could be selling this, but you have to start somewhere. And I think that's a viable beginning.
And now that we're officially, this is day 14, so it's been 2 weeks since she was taken. And again, there's probably 95% of, there's not, a lot of leaks coming out. I mean, I know that there's a lot of.
I'm gonna have to let Macho out here in a second. I gave them both a bath today, and they're acting like I made them plow a field. Like they've just been sleeping all day. They're like, oh my God, I can't believe you bathed me.
Statements from the sheriff back and forth, but it seems like the people closest to the investigation, as far as like the FBI agents, the Guthrie family, all of that, there's not a lot of information coming out of there. One statement that got a little bit of traction yesterday was looking at the family, and they've been super cooperative, 100%. The sheriff says they've done everything. And then it was like, well, if the family's ruled out yet, and he says, well, nobody's ruled out. And then suddenly people look at that and say, well, the family's not being ruled out. Like, how do you actually rule someone out at this point?
Well, the sheriff's been saying a couple of things he probably shouldn't, elaborate on. He just contradicted himself in one statement.
What if I miss any chats?
No one, listen, until someone is in handcuffs and in jail and charged, no one's off the hook. Everyone is still being looked at, either family, friends, neighbors, strangers, all of that. No one is off the table until the right person is apprehended.
And when I look at this too, because I know like they've said like hundreds of agents are working on this and members of law enforcement. We saw a massive SWAT presence last night. The FBI crime lab is going through stuff. I know that there was a little bit of controversy with that private lab in Florida that has a relationship with Pima County, but there is just so many people working on this. And it's like, I sit back knowing that there's probably 95% we don't know of. And it's like, how do whoever took Nancy Guthrie, like, how are they at this point not in custody? Like, when you look at this investigation and you're kind of seeing what's playing out, like, what can be the type of break in a case like this that changes everything?
I think waiting on the DNA of something they recovered, they stated from inside the house that's not Nancy's. That right now is what you focus on. And then there might be something, tomorrow that you focus on. But I think right now that DNA sample that got sent down to Florida is going to be big. That's going to be a big part in this. That is if that DNA is in a data system. So a lot of it, we're all holding our breath and hoping for that one break. Criminals aren't perfect. There's no perfect crime. So you hope there was a mistake made somewhere, or someone has knowledge of this that gives these guys up. Those are the hope factors that investigators deal with when you're running down leads and you're running a case like this. But I'm telling you, Chris, I'm telling you right now, all those investigators and detectives and agents are not sleeping. They're not eating. They're not going home. They are pounding this as hard as they can because you want a conclusion to this, whatever it might be. But they're not stopping, and I know that because I've been there. I've been involved in cases like this. And it becomes personal because now it's on their watch that they have to go get this person. So we're going to hope for the best.
Yeah. And now, day 14, but it does seem like there at least you hope that there's just steps forward in this investigation that can lead to that break. That may change everything. Tom Smith, retired NYPD detective.
Rusty says, ask OJ about perfect crimes. Well, OJ just had he had just it was like a perfect storm of BS that got him off, because that evidence was insane. Okay. And Jana, thank you so much. Fox 10 Phoenix has the story of two teens hired. I read about this, who didn't even know each other, to do the exact same thing on February 4th over crypto. Very similar. Yeah, I heard about that. Yeah, I know that is strange. I will not deny that. Let's see. What did Banfield? Hold on.
Joining me now, what time?
Where's Enton's new one? Okay, here it is.
Don't have to.
Oh, God, I thought that was somebody else. Maybe Enton will answer some of these.
Hey guys, thanks so much for checking out my show. I really.
He was the guy on the scene last. He was on the scene last night.
Appreciate it. Please click to subscribe. It is Saturday. Been here almost 2 weeks. I'm outside Nancy Guthrie's house.
I don't understand why people are focusing on the backpack so much. It's cheap. It's a cheap bag that could be found for free or cheap at thrift store shop. Well, I mean, I don't know how many of those bags would be sold, but depending on how they paid for it, I mean, you could end up with a list of people at least to track down. It would probably be in the hundreds, but
kind of found like a quiet place up here off the main drag to talk to you guys. And I kind of wanted to go.
He's sitting crisscross applesauce. He's tired.
Over everything new that I've learned today in relation to what happened last night. You guys remember last night was this crazy, basically SWAT raid that I got in the middle of. There were two people detained at a house about 2 miles from here, 2 miles from Nancy Guthrie's house. A man and a woman. It's my understanding that it was a mom and son. They went to the house with the SWAT team. It was a massive presence, and the man and the woman, again.
Although if it were me and I was the one like on that video, which I'm clearly not, but if I was and I saw like, oh shit, they see my backpack, I would throw the backpack away.
I believe it's a mom and a son from what I'm hearing, came out and there was no issue. They basically, came out, didn't resist at all.
What are you talking about? I don't have that backpack.
And were questioned. And then at the same time, there was a traffic stop very close by outside of Culver's, which is like a fast food place, where another man was stopped and detained and questioned. And that person also has a connection back to the house where the other two were detained, where the SWAT team was. So new today, I am learning from the sheriff. I was texting with the sheriff this morning, the Pima County Sheriff, Chris Nanos. He said that there were no arrests, that they were working off of a lead, that's what started all of this, and that they have not located Nancy Guthrie. And I learned later in the day that it was a federal search warrant.
Robin, I'm more of a fanny pack guy.
That they were conducting at that house, which makes sense to me because I saw a ton of FBI there, and then I saw even more FBI arrive about an hour after the initial SWAT teams arrived. And it was a federal search warrant, which I'm going to talk to Steve Moore, my friend who's a retired FBI agent who has done a ton of these search warrants in his career, about sort of what he sees, what stands out to him about what happened last night. But just so you guys know, when it's a federal search warrant, that means almost always a judge, a federal judge or federal magistrate has to sign the warrant, which means there has to be things in that warrant that justify the search. And it can't just be something vague usually. And Steve is going to explain that. So while the sheriff is saying there were no arrests, that doesn't mean that this is necessarily over. And that's what my sources are also saying, that they are.
But how many people buy a backpack jacket, black nitrile gloves, and a ski mask? I mean, if he bought them all in the same spot at the same time.
Still investigating whatever brought them to that house last night. And you know that they look at the electronics, likely got DNA from people, and they can try and connect that DNA back to Nancy Guthrie's house. Because remember, we were told that there was DNA found inside Nancy Guthrie's house that does not belong to Nancy Guthrie and does not belong to anyone close to her. So it is a stranger's DNA, perhaps the kidnapper's DNA. So they can now go, when they get these tips and these people that they want to talk to, they can swab them for DNA and then they can compare to the DNA in the house. And you're going to hear Steve explain this in a second. But what happens is if there's a search warrant on the house, that's different than a search warrant getting someone's DNA. But if they show up to your house with a search warrant, they may just say, hey, can we voluntarily swab your mouth? And if you had nothing to do with it and you're like, why are you even at my house to begin with? You'd think that most people would cooperate and just let the FBI swab to just sort of like clear them, because we know they've swabbed.
I don't know. I'd like to think that I would too. I'd be like, yeah, I don't have anything to do with this, but like, I would be pissed off if somebody showed up at my house and go and like, insinuating that I had something to do with the crime that I had nothing to do with it. Be like, can we swab your mouth? Can you go swab your own mouth?
Swabbed a lot of people for DNA so far. The sheriff has said that, just trying to rule people out essentially. So all of that is going on behind the scenes involving what we saw last night. And if you want the full debrief on the whole SWAT operation, go back and take a look at my episode from, sorry, I thought I heard something. Go back and
Brian's tripping, dude.
Look, I'm like scared of rattlesnakes out here. I know that's crazy. I don't even know if there are rattlesnakes, but like I'm not a desert.
Oh, there's definitely rattlesnakes. It's like land of rattlesnakes. How do you not? You've been there for 2 weeks, Brian, and you don't know if there's rattlesnakes out there? There could be a rattlesnake in that bush right next to you.
Guy, I'm from Florida, so like every little noise, I'm like used to gators and that kind of thing, but these desert.
Maybe that's what they wanted was DNA. Maybe that's what the warrants were all about. Maybe they're trying to, look, I mean, I don't know exactly the threshold for a federal warrant, but you would think that it would be pretty high.
Like critters, I'm not used to, so that's what I thought I heard something. But if you want the full lowdown on the SWAT situation, go back and look at my video from last night, and I'll walk you through everything that happened. But again, no arrests, It was a federal search warrant, and I am told by sources that there's still an investigation ongoing involving it, although, no one was arrested. They were detained for questioning and let go, essentially. Also, there was a Range Rover, which is interesting, that was also close to where the traffic stop was, that was processed by the FBI very, very carefully and then towed away. And we're trying to find out the relevance of that and how that connects into all of this. So I'll keep you posted on all of that. I'm joined now by Steve Moore.
I mean, that would be fine.
Retired FBI agent.
I would do it. I would say, yeah, fine. You can have my DNA, but that doesn't mean that I'd be thrilled about it.
It's nice to see you, Steve.
Although I think, because when I coached basketball and baseball, they didn't do DNA, but like my fingerprints, they put on file. So I'd be cooked.
I'm still in Arizona, right near Nancy's house right now. But I was really anxious to talk to you because, we were out all night, basically following the SWAT team around. We were being respectful. We stayed back, but we ended up in the perimeter where they went into that house, brought a man and a woman out. I believe it was a mother and son. They came out willingly. There was no flashbangs. There was no use of force. And then there was another traffic stop close by where a man was detained. So there were 3 people total detained, questioned, and no arrests. I texted with the sheriff this morning, and he said, we were following up on leads, no arrests.
You're right.
And we still haven't found Nancy. So what do you make of it? Because we saw this happen with the Carlos guy from Rio Rico. What do you think is going on here?
There's something about whatever these.
Caroline says, I recommend not becoming a criminal. It saves you trouble. But if you do become a criminal, you can always start a YouTube channel.
2 situations showed law enforcement there's something about them that fit their theory of the crime or theory of
will probably be extremely popular.
Of the suspect is my guess. If it could be somebody's come up with a profile, and both of these guys both of these residences they hit had a mom with her son living with her. So maybe we've got a profile that we're looking for somebody with a certain criminal background or not, who's living with their mom at home. I've seen profiles specifically that said you'll be living with the mom and not the dad. I've even seen one that says he used to live with his mom, but now he's living with an aunt because the mom and he couldn't even live together. They can get very specific. And I'm not saying that if that's their profile, I'm not saying it's their profile, but if it is, I'm not saying that that they've got the wrong profile. It's just that not everybody who meets that profile is your bad guy. And so they're having to balance, how close do we think this meets the totality of the circumstances? And are we willing to tire our folks out, frazzle the public and things like that, for another shot at another bite at this apple?
Yeah, and by the way, the sheriff confirmed today that it was a federal search warrant at that house last night also. Does that mean that a judge or a magistrate had to sign off? And does that mean that there had to be some meat on the bones?
Yes, absolutely. The FBI cannot just go out and write a search warrant for themselves and sign it. Actually, the FBI is different. They actually do. Agents write their own search warrants much of the time. They just have to bring it to a judge and have the judge or the magistrate sign it. So this had to have, as you said, some meat on the bones, had to have something that would give a reasonable magistrate, and that's a high bar, by the way, a reasonable magistrate, the belief that they would find something related to this crime at that house. So it wasn't just some agent or some deputy getting together and saying, hey, you know what? We haven't looked at that house. It's literally thought through, shown to a magistrate. The magistrate agrees and they sign it. So there was something there. There's no doubt about it, but it wasn't what they were looking for.
One thing I've thought about is with Carlos, the guy from Rio Rico, and we went out there too. He was saying how he was a delivery driver and may have been in that area where Nancy lives. And we know that they're doing all sorts of cell phone tracking, and they can track I think they can track what phones have been close to Nancy's house. Do you think that that's, you mentioned a profile, but could that also be a way that they are trying to narrow the scope here and come up with targets?
Yeah, I think that's very possible. And it's kind of funny. Investigators tend to have things that they rely on. Individual guy. One person may rely more on profile.
Brian talks to this guy for like another 20
minutes. Information. One may rely more on cell phone information, something where they feel that they understand it really well, and some agents are really good at that kind of stuff. It's kind of like some baseball players are better fielders than hitters. It's just what you lean on. So it's possible that they're looking at that at the phone records, but again, it can't be just one thing. He was in that area there were hundreds of people in the vicinity of that house, that night. So you have to line it up and get 2 or 3 at minimum other circumstances that also ties you there. You're looking for patterns.
So for a warrant that they would have had to get, since we know it was a federal search, you're saying they would have to have several things? Like how high is the bar?
It can be frustratingly high, I can tell you. You have to show that the person that you're looking at him for this reason. And you might say, hypothetically, his phone was in that area. He's made threats. He has actually been in that house, possibly. He meets this profile, although
this is true. I just found this out not that long ago. Pacemakers ping until a coroner takes it out. I just saw, I said this last night, I saw a show where they actually identified somebody that was out in the wilderness that had been killed and badly decomposed, but they identified them through their pacemaker, which was still working. I can't remember how long after, but it was quite some time.
Don't think a profile is going to be admissible on that. So you would have to show actual verifiable facts that would indicate that this not only is this person involved, but the evidence of that crime would be found at that location.
Yeah, it was a long
so it would actually be a warrant for the location, not the person, but the person who is living there you would have to explain why that house would contain it.
So maybe
5 years.
The fact that the sheriff is saying no arrests, maybe that doesn't mean that this is over in terms of what they were interested in with these people and with this house. I mean, could it just be they didn't, make an arrest yet, but there might still be some part of what happened last night that's useful?
Yeah, I mean, unless there's been some statement since then that I have not seen. I, like you, was up most of the night. I think you got less sleep than me, though. I think that what is possible is that they did find evidence of the crime in the house. I'm not alleging that. I'm just saying that they haven't said that this was a complete waste of our time. We're sorry to the people. We don't know how we got this information. That's not what they're saying. They're saying that we've made no arrests. So it's very possible.
And I saw, because I was there, I saw the SWAT teams and sort of the initial, there's probably 24, and there was some FBI, but 24 law enforcement, I would say, in total that went first to the house. They came out, the man and the woman. And then I would say about an hour later, like a sort of a convoy of FBI agents arrived in black trucks, but also like those evidence kind of units that I also saw at Nancy Guthrie's house a couple days ago. What does that mean that they arrived an hour later?
I know. I don't. I thought that he did go live.
It's a good question. I took it yesterday to mean in real time that this was a planned operation, that this was a lead that was generated, that was obviously looked at carefully enough. You have to go get a magistrate, warrant from a magistrate. So it was something that they had planned to do. They got everybody lined up. And one of the trademarks of a federal operation is that the cars are literally lined up nose to tail all the way back. It'll be led by the SWAT vehicles if you're going to use them, and then law enforcement to set up roadblocks and stuff. And you'll just come in like a convoy. The fact that the convoy came in later, like an hour later, indicates to me that either that was part of the plan, we're going to secure the area, then we'll call you in after the interviews, that may have been part of it, or it was a fast moving thing. And so while the area was getting secured by tactical teams, they were briefing up all the agents and detectives who were going to go in and setting up an ops plan. And then they came in once everybody was lined up.
If they took phones, can they hold on to those for a while?
Yeah, but they don't really need to unless they're looking for physical evidence on the phone.
Like fingerprints and DNA, but I'm pretty sure they can just dump they can mirror phones pretty easy. I think that's pretty easy stuff.
They can mirror those pretty quickly, and basically get every single thing that's on that phone onto their drives fairly quickly. So you can return them, unless you're looking for physical evidence on the phone.
And we learned yesterday that they found DNA in Nancy's house that's not Nancy's DNA and not DNA connected to someone in her circle, or, it's a stranger's DNA, it sounds like. So I'm assuming last night they would probably swab these people, their DNA, don't you think? Would that be something that would be important?
Appreciate you.
Yeah, and unless they had a warrant for that, it would be a voluntary thing. You have to get a warrant for buccal swabs and things like that, where they swab the inside of your mouth. So yeah, excuse me. Yeah, so they losing my voice here.
No, you're fine.
They would have gotten that kind of stuff, DNA evidence, things like that, anything they needed while they were there. And if the people were cooperating, you'd get as much as you can.
Yeah, and I guess if they showed up to my house and I had nothing to do with this, like what Carlos said the other night, why not let them do the swab? I mean, you almost want them to prove that, hey, I'm not the guy.
Wood Pit asks, how do they change the battery? I don't know how they change the battery, but it is a simple procedure. It's much easier than the initial implant of. It's an outpatient. It's an outpatient situation.
You help yourself if you prove to be cooperative. If you don't, because and some people won't, because they say you're invading my privacy, you have no right to be. I mean, I've seen this where you say you shouldn't even be here, and I'm not even going to cooperate with you, and you say, listen, you're not helping yourself. This just means we're going to have to do it the hard way. We'll be here longer. Please just cooperate. And but some people get, and I understand, they get offended by the invasion of their privacy.
What about the public perception of this? Because after the Rio Rico search and sort of raid that we were out at, a lot of people were already being hard on law enforcement and the sheriff and the FBI, saying, gosh, this is like not a good investigation. And then they're like, oh my gosh, this was all a waste. And now we've seen another event where it hasn't resulted in an immediate arrest, and it hasn't resulted in finding Nancy. Do you think they're taking that into consideration behind the scenes, or or are they just solely focused on the investigation, or do they realize like if they keep doing these raids without any thing to show for it, like people start to lose faith?
Yeah, and it's funny how law enforcement views that. The FBI is very insular, and their thought on this might be, well, they don't have to follow us to go to these places. We're just doing our job, But the sheriff's department is more invested in the community. When you think about it, the sheriff has to be elected. His people are in town every single day, by the dozens, patrolling, things like that. So if there's a tension between the citizens of Tucson and the sheriff's office, that really strongly affects the sheriff's office, and it could affect the job of the sheriff. So the sheriff's office is going to be much more attuned to the citizens and their beliefs about this kind of thing and their frustration. The FBI has a culture of putting your head down, getting the job done. And if we screw up, we screw up. But generally, we don't, and we're going to get it done as fast as we can. And dealing with the community is really not our job. We're investigators. So I think in this modern internet world here, where people are following these things so closely, and the press is following it for them so closely, the FBI is, if they're the agency I used to work for, is probably realizing we're going to have to do some work on how we deal with the public and expectations and things like this, because going forward, it's not the same world where Walter Cronkite read the news and you just listened. It's almost like everybody has their own home game version.
Yeah, that's a really good way of putting it. And you talk about the difference between the sheriff and the FBI too. I mean, the sheriff is elected, sort of has to keep people happy to a certain extent. There's a certain level.
Yeah, we sometimes we get what's called a silver alert in my town when an elderly person goes missing. They're typically found pretty fast, but that's what it shows up as, a silver alert.
Of like politics involved, where he probably wants progress in some ways for different reasons than the FBI.
Yeah, my dad, coincidentally, when I was like 5 years old, my dad was transferred into Phoenix as an FBI agent. We were there exactly 18 months, and he was transferred to San Francisco, and then he was transferred to New York. I mean, you don't really generally bond with a community in that time. You just work your cases and go. And so, yeah, there is a completely different dynamic between the two agencies. And this explains some of the potential tension between the two agencies. Like, and I'm just speaking hypothetically, but last night, say the sheriff said, listen, we owe.
The moment cartels get mentioned, you can see people go wild with no, not cartels are not involved. I mean, initially, I think that's something that you have to look at, but do you think a cartel would handle it, a ransom this way? Probably not.
Owe the people an explanation of what we're doing here. Let's do a release. And the FBI, who seems to be having more control of the case than the sheriff's department or sheriff's office does, says, we're not going to tell people what we're doing here. We don't want people to start driving around and looking at this place. We're just not going to make a statement. And the sheriff might have said at that point, you don't understand. This could cost me an election down the line. I have responsibilities that you don't have. And those are the things that cause tension. And
yeah, they're more into like smuggling avocado and math.
May have been part of the reason that the sheriff's department was so invested in sending DNA to a lab in Florida instead of sending it to the FBI lab.
The fact that what we saw last night, you had the house hit, they went into the house, got the people, the two targets out at the same time they did the traffic stop close by with the other man, who I think was related to the people in the house too and had just gone to get food, is what I'm hearing. But
Would
it
make
happened
sense.
simultaneously.
Right.
Why would they have done it that way? Like, why wait till that guy's out going to get food and get him and then get the two in the house at the same time? Why not just wait till he got back? Or it seemed like that was planned.
I don't think it necessarily was. I mean, because if you can get somebody at their own home, it's a lot safer for everybody than getting somebody at a traffic stop at a fast food restaurant. You can put people in danger that way. However, when you're dealing with 20 some SWAT operators and maybe 40 or 50 agents, deputies, and evidence.
Both. I think TikTok is I am the lab, and then
teams. Once that
I don't know what my
battleship gets moving, it's hard to stop it. And so when they say we're going to hit the house right at, say, 6:10 or 8:10 or 9:15, whatever, everything is moving and you just can't stop it at that point, except to say the whole operation's off. You can't just park 40 cars on the side of a major thoroughfare and say, we'll wait, because it's a Friday night. People are out. People are going to call. You're just tipping your hand. And so this is not unusual to say, hey, the person we were looking for just boogied. They likely had a surveillance team watching the house and said, hey, one person just left. And the case agent, if I were the case agent, would say, send somebody with him, follow him, let us know. We'll come hook him up wherever you find him. And so I think that's likely what happened.
I read that the sheriff said this morning that, and it's interesting when he does interviews, he says something a little different each time, it seems. But he said, we could find Nancy in days, or this could take years, which I thought was an interesting comment. What is your sense? I mean, they're obviously making progress. They released the photos, those photos from the camera. They're, doing these raids and search warrants. But do you think they're getting closer?
Yes, I think they're getting closer. And I think the speed at which they're getting closer is rising. It's, anybody who's done crossword puzzles or jigsaw puzzles realize that right at the beginning, you've just got no help. Once you get just a few words and stuff, you get the frame around it. Now what do we do? And I think they've got the point where they've got the frame done and they're looking for a couple of big pieces. And once you get those pieces, everything seems to fall in line after that. And so I think we're to the point where larger pieces are going to start to fall. And I don't think this is going to go cold. I've been wrong in the past, but I just, there's too much out there for this to go very cold with today's technology.
Especially with that DNA that they found. I mean, that seems like, I think back to the Idaho case when they did the ancestral DNA. I mean, even if you're not in a database now, they can find your third cousin and then back in that way.
Yeah. Or as I found, I had a third cousin that I didn't know.
Well, I think that people are focusing on him going out a year, going, well, this could take days, weeks, months, years. Kind of a flippant statement, but I mean, he's right. It absolutely could.
So yeah, you find all sorts of things out through that. And again, I'm like everyone else, I'm hoping that DNA is from the suspect. But it's not just that, it's the technology to pick up lost video from that Ring camera.
Yeah,
they are and being able to find out where things were purchased. And I think that's going to bear fruit.
Magic Star says, is it relatively common to send DNA to another lab outside the FBI? Well, the way that it was explained by the sheriff was that that's the lab that they used. They've been using, and that's where they sent the initial stuff off to before the FBI got involved. So, I mean, it's not. I don't think it's abnormal. They could send it to anywhere they want, but they also sent some to Quantico too.
I suspect you're going to find that a lot of things were purchased in the general area, and that helps you zone in on, you say, well, this was purchased at that Walmart and this was purchased at that other store. And the only area where that Walmart is closest and that other store is closer than other brand stores is in this area. And so you start just zeroing in. And I think they're getting more.
I think that if initially the DNA was collected, the FBI was there, I think that they probably would have used Quantico. But yeah, the lab that they're using it specializes in touch DNA, but they had already sent the other stuff there.
More and more zeroed in every.
I don't think it's personally, I don't think it's that big of a deal, but some people are like, oh, son of a bitch.
Yeah.
What was the FBI?
You don't know what kind of DNA. There was DNA found. There was blood, but
doing inside the house in terms of the search, and people think this is all going to be done like a CSI show so quickly. Like, how long does it all take?
An evidence response team full processing of a scene is not an hour or two thing. It can be days, if depending on how much time and how much access they have. About 5 years before I left the FBI, I remember I was assigned as a helicopter pilot for a while, and we had a body found at a national park, extremely rural. And I ended up flying evidence teams in there every day for a week, and they stayed 8 hours every day. That was for a single campsite. When you're talking a home where the amount of space that you need to process, like if you're looking for DNA, that could be as much as little as a skin flake or something like that. Now look at the room around you that you're sitting in, or your car you're sitting in, and find out how long it would take you to find every flake of skin in that room or in that car. So it could be, depending on how exhaustive they're going to be, it could be days, it could be a week.
Would they be looking at these subjects, the people who they're questioning? How important would their criminal histories be in terms of forming a profile?
That's very, very important, potentially huge, because part of the profile indicates oh crap. Part of the profile is based on their propensity to do this. It's part of the profile indicates oh crap.
What did he do?
Part of the profile indicates.
Did he pee? What happened?
Oh crap.
I heard some liquid.
Part of the profile is based on crap. Part of the profile indicates oh crap. Part of the profile is based on their propensity to do this. It's not like somebody just comes out of nowhere and says, I just thought of something, kidnapping. I'm leaving art school, I'm going to try kidnapping. No, it's people who have a propensity to it, and they move in stages towards the crime. So in this case, what you potentially could be looking for is somebody who is a burglar, because kidnapping, especially out of a home, involves a type of burglary. And so you're looking for propensity and history of similar actions. And those things really are predictors of what the person might do, as well as skills they might have. So I would be very surprised, especially after looking at that video, if part of a profile didn't include histories of certain crimes that intellectual or intuitively, I'd say would be burglary. But again, I'm not a profiler, so I could be wrong on that. But I would say that anytime you see somebody with a long criminal record, you are literally right in the middle of the.
All right, think about this. So the people that they have detained or questioned, I would imagine they've taken DNA from. Do you think that that's what they're trying to figure out? Were these people in the house? Was this person in the house? And they'll get their answer when they get the DNA back. I don't know when they'll get it back, but
Profile for that person.
We saw a surveillance plane before all this went down. A fixed wing. It was high up, and it was circling. Do you think that was involved? How does that connect back?
Yeah, that was involved almost certainly, because as I said, one thing you never want to do is show up at a house where you.
I want to know where Tommaso is. I know people are saying in Italy. I mean, really? Why? Why would he be in Italy when his wife's mother is missing? I'm not saying he's not. I'm not saying he is. I don't know. Italy? Shit.
Want to do a search warrant and hook up some people and interview them and find that they're not home. You always need to make sure before you hit the place that the people you're looking for are there. So what they do is they put surveillance teams out, and these are really high-speed, low-drag units. You're not going to see them for if they.
Yeah, they can't. I mean, they couldn't stop him unless he's so he's there for the pasta. Oh, okay, well, that explains it, Rusty Shackelford.
They could be on you for days and you wouldn't see them.
No, I don't know. I've been hearing people say that he's in Italy. I don't know that he's in Italy. I don't know exactly where that's coming from either.
One of the things they do is they have planes up, and the planes tell the people down below how to stay out of the view.
But I tell you what, I don't know where he is. Not that I would, but does anybody know where he is? No.
The car they're following. They half the time during an FBI surveillance, the car that's closest to the person that's being surveilled is not even within sight of it. And the plane just keeps the cars close until the person goes into a residence or something like that, and then the cars can zoom in and pick it up from there. But that would indicate to me not so much that SWAT was using the airplane, although they can. It indicates to me, confirms to me that they did have surveillance on the house.
When Scott Peterson was not running away to Mexico, when he looked like he got beat over the head with the bottle of peroxide and had like $10K in cash and his brother's, that mugshot is so infamous. I wasn't going to Mexico. I just decided to dye my hair.
And that plane.
See, this one's. I mean, God, if that was it, can you imagine? If that was really true, we obviously she's saying that nobody knows, but God.
And probably as that person left and went to the fast food place, went with that individual and 2 or 3 vehicles.
As always, I really appreciate Steve for chatting with me. I appreciate all of you guys for following along with me here on my YouTube channel or on News Nation. And I'll keep you guys posted. I know it was a late night. I didn't really sleep much if I seem kind of tired. We were up most of the night with that whole SWAT raid and activity, but just hoping that something breaks soon. I think about Savannah Guthrie and her family and just hope that Nancy Guthrie is still alive, and I still hope that we will have a
I want to know what
positive outcome to this whole thing. And again, I've told you guys before, but I get so wrapped up in the investigation like last night, just trying to figure out that whole SWAT situation and be responsible in my reporting with what we were seeing. And I didn't want to interfere with the investigation at all. So sometimes that sort of takes over my mind. And then I try to remember
Brian, there's a snake behind you. Just kidding. Love Brian Enton, man. He's pretty seemed like pretty ethical reporter, you know? Not like Harvey writing notes to him. I'm not saying that's what he's doing. Well, I did just say that, but I'm being facetious, but it's so stupid.
And she asked a wide range of these questions and more, and you'll get the differences in his wording, the differences in the questions, but I want to play that interview for.
Well, that's not, I mean, we know where the kids are. Well, I mean, they're at least they've been in the public and made public statements, but look, if my wife mother was missing, I wouldn't leave her side unless I had something to do with it.
For you now.
Sheriff Nanos, I want to first talk to you about the DNA that you are testing. You have unknown DNA that you have found, DNA that does not match anybody in the Guthrie family, does not match anybody working for Nancy Guthrie inside her home. This sounds like this could be a significant lead.
Well, we found DNA and we eliminated some people, yes. And yes, it's significant when we find somebody that certainly matches that for sure. But right now, there's a lot of significant leads we're working. I think that video was very key to us, and we're tracking down some things there too. So we as of what's today? I'm sorry, it's Friday. So as of Wednesday, we had over 18,000 leads here. The FBI had some 15,000 leads there. We put that video out, and in less than a couple hours, we have almost another 5,000 leads.
Wow.
We're probably close to 50,000 today, but we want those leads. We need those leads. We need people to keep calling us and sending us things, and because that's what's going to solve this case.
Presumably, you've run that DNA against CODIS, which is the database for people who've been convicted of crimes and did not find a match.
I don't know where they're at, but correct. We have no match. I don't know how. There's a lot of work to do with DNA and splitting it and mixtures and different things. Way above my grade. I just allow my team. They deal with this stuff all the time. They're the experts, the FBI as well, and we let them come to us and tell us what it is they need, and we help them with that.
Some say Sheriff is almost 5 foot tall in heels. Yeah, I heard this guy named Dave H4925 say that. If that's what you mean by some people. I'm 5'6".
Did you find this DNA inside the house or outside the house?
I can't go there. I'm sorry.
But it was near the house. I mean, it wasn't, at some random.
Why is anybody spending time on I would or leave my wife's side based on unfounded rumors about him going to Italy? Spending time on? What the hell does that mean? It was a flippant statement. Nigel.
Random place 2 miles away.
Well, the DNA we worked with was the DNA from that house.
I didn't say he's in Italy. I don't know if he's in Italy. I don't know where the frig he is. I'm just saying that I wouldn't leave my wife's side, even in a ransom video.
The morning we went out and processed that crime scene.
You obviously, this door cam video was a huge, significant breakthrough for you. Are you also working on retrieving video from the Nest cameras that were inside Nancy Guthrie's home or perhaps in other places on her property?
Yeah, I won't say where they were located, but I will say this. Yes.
Isn't that where the Olympics are right now?
We had several cameras that we took and gave. That's part of this story was the sheriff's holding back from the FBI or block. That's furthest from the truth. I don't know where that comes from. We came in that morning on Sunday or Monday morning, I guess it is now, took our evidence. My team says we're going to send ours to the lab. It's a lab we use. They're in Florida now. I think years ago they may have been in Arizona. I don't know. They put in a bid every year or every couple of years, and they win it. They're a good lab. They've done great work for us, solved cases before. FBI has a great lab. They've solved some.
Well, I think like Jason, I think at this point, yes, I can understand that. Not everyone in this family's together 24/7, it seems, which is totally normal. Savannah's husband was at the airport last night. But initially you would think that everybody would kind of be circling the wagon. That's all I'm saying. Look at that. Look at that profile. Look at the profile picture. I'm not going to Mexico. I'm not going to Mexico. Oh, that was good stuff. Mary, thank you. Thank you, Mary. God. Who has a job? Tommaso? He plays in a van. Or he's been in a band. Look at that. It's the greatest mugshot of all time.
Cases for us.
That's as funny of a mugshot as the Nick Nolte one or the Randy Travis one. But this one, I wasn't going to Mexico. Like he looks the same. He doesn't look any different. He looks idiotic.
That wasn't the issue here. The issue was we submitted our evidence from that crime scene to there. We also had some hard evidence.
I'm not Scott Peterson. Look at my hair; it's way different than his.
Consider hard physical cameras, phones, computers, things like that. And we knew the FBI has the best resources for those items to be analyzed. And that morning, people say, "Oh, you waited too long to call." We called them that morning, 8 o'clock. They immediately said, "Sheriff, whatever you need." And they were attached to it. In fact, you just have to look at the press conferences that day, or I think it was Tuesday, the day after. Who's standing behind me? The FBI.
Right.
The next.
I tell you, I hate Scott Peterson, but that is a fire mugshot. That's an all time. He's fucking so stupid.
It's FBI. So we have a relationship here with the FBI that is not just vital to the FBI. It's not just vital to my department. It is vital to this community. And that relationship has lasted for 30, 40 years, as far as I know. We've always sent people to work in their building with their agents. They've had people at our place to work with us.
The word.
To suggest that this sheriff.
And he has the personality of a dish rag. He's Chris Watts does too. All of those guys, they all have like the worst, shittiest personalities ever.
Would tell the FBI no on anything. That's crazy.
So these reports that we have gotten that the FBI is frustrated, that they feel you're not cooperating, are completely false.
I agree. They're completely false. At this local level, I don't know what's going on in Washington. I respect Washington because they have a job to do too. That's my FBI team here locally. That's their boss, and they have right to make decisions as bosses. I have bosses too. That's my community. And so we sit down with their local leadership here, the SAC and the ASAC from Phoenix and Tucson, and we talk about these things. I've spent more time talking to you, probably 10 times more, than talking to the SACs about this DNA going to their lab or our lab. It was nothing more than simply a matter of, I have a lab that has all of our evidence. They have our markers for the family and people we want. Maybe it's the landscaper, the pool guy, all of those there. Why would I send? And then we had another crime scene at a scene we did a search warrant on. All that stuff went to our labs. And so when they brought me the glove that was found some 2 miles away, they said, we'll send it to our lab. I said, well, why do that? Let's just keep it all in one place.
Keep it all in one place. Okay, we should say for our audience that the SAC is the special agent in charge at the FBI. Getting back to the other Nest cameras, when do you think we might see how, I mean, I know this is an arduous process. Google helped out with the doorbell cam. When might we see the video from the other cameras?
You know, we looked at it and said, you know, FBI, you guys take this on. Just like the ransom notes, they're great at that. They handle it. They do.
Look, I'm, you know, this is just how I would handle it, but I'd be so pissed off if people were, if like Ashley Banfield came out and said that I was possibly the prime suspect in this case. I would go on like TV and say, no, I'm not. So Shuddy Town right now.
Deal with it. They
take a trip to Shuddy Town.
Got some of it back. What you saw, that one video, that's key. That front door video was so key to us. We're hopeful.
Pissing me off, Shuddy Town now.
That the other.
Well, I mean, I guess. Even if I was guilty, I'd probably still do it. Look at Scott Peterson. Look at the picture. Look. He's guilty and he's dyeing his hair with friggin' blonde with peroxide.
Cameras can be done the same with, but we've not heard.
He made a public plea. Then he went and smashed a bottle of peroxide over his friggin' head.
No, they were submitted, I think, to Google. And Google said, we'll try our best, but we've not heard back.
A neighbor, you put out an alert yesterday asking people to recheck all their security cameras, even their car cameras, because Teslas, for example, have recordings. Yeah. You asked everybody to check from January 1st until February 2nd, which is a massive time frame. There has been video that has emerged from January 23rd, and this is from a home about 6 miles from Nancy Guthrie's home. It shows a man on the front step at about 5 a.m. Are you investigating this, and do you know whether it's related?
So we have, like you suggest, a lot of video to go through, and this is one of them that we were alerted to, and we're looking at it. We're, you know, I allow the team, my team, the FBI team, those men and women who do the work, they take this as, it is nothing more than a lead, just like other leads. And they're taking it and they'll do everything they can to work with it and see, does it tie into ours? Right now, the belief is not really, but we're not dismissing it. We're still looking into it.
And you also asked for a specific date. I believe it was January 11th for neighbors.
Woodpit says this guy's a crackhead trying to steal a garden hose or something.
To search. Why that date?
Well, you know,
a garden hose.
I'm not real sure about all that with dates. I know we think of a search pattern. We come in and we fly.
Crackhead trying to steal a garden hose.
Fly over, we have ground troops, we do a search pattern. We come back the next day and we look at it, did we miss anything? And we kind of go over it again. And once we feel good about that, we expand that search pattern. The same with dates, timeframes. Did we limit ourselves when we said, we want to know what happened between the 1st of February and the 2nd of February, or the 31st of January and the 1st of February? Maybe, but we know that there's more info out there, so we're expanding it. Is January 11th a specific date with specific ties to it? I don't know that. I allow my team to work, and they trust me. I
actually got to get a new hiking backpack, but I will not be getting that kind. That thing looked like shit.
Do tremendous work, and we support this.
Are you still treating this case as a kidnapping, or are you also treating this as a possible homicide?
So yes, it's definitely a kidnapping. As for a homicide, we are working under the belief that she's still out there somewhere.
No, I don't think the Olympics had started yet. I think it happened a week. The comment on the screen is, I don't think Savannah had left for Italy yet when it happened. That's a fact. I do not believe she did eat well. I don't think so. But I don't think the Olympics had started. I think there was still a week before, because I think, don't the Olympics end on like Friday? Like this coming Friday? Because they've only been on a week, haven't they?
The family believes that. I believe that. Why would we think otherwise? There's people say, well, there's no proof of life. Well, there's no proof of death either. Sometimes hope is all we've got. I've got a team of 400 officers out there from the state, the feds, the locals. They're working hard, not just for they're 24/7.
Yeah.
And they're out there right now as we speak. And they need to have that hope too. And they do.
In cases like this, it is standard protocol. Investigators first start.
I truly don't think that this interview was like that bad by him. I'm not saying that. I don't think it's that bad of an interview.
With the small circle of immediate family and very close friends and eliminate them and then work their.
And I also heard that Savannah may not, depending on, I don't know if it's the outcome or whatever, but that she might not return to the Today Show. Just sad.
Their way out.
No, Savannah never went to Italy.
Have you completely eliminated any member of the Guthrie family?
I will say this. I don't believe
I really need to hear
you eliminate anybody ever, because take the gentleman in Rio Rico where we went and did a search warrant.
Right.
We talked to him. We felt comfortable with what he said. We checked into his story and we felt like, okay, maybe there's not, but you don't know that, because what if the stuff we sent to the lab comes back and says, hey, you have Nancy's DNA here. So you can't really ever eliminate anybody. What we do is we chase that lead down to an end and go, is this it? Are we satisfied? As for the family, and this is really key to me, and the media and those on social media need to understand this.
It is. It really is.
You don't know the harm you do when you accuse somebody of something without any facts. And this family is suffering. They are grieving. And they have done nothing but cooperate with us all the way, every step of the way.
In your opinion,
my heart goes out to them. Have they been eliminated? Like I say, nobody's ever eliminated until we find who we're looking for. That video, someone knows who that is. That's who we need. We need somebody to tell us this is who this man is.
And very quickly, you brought up the glove that was found about 2 miles away. Do you think that glove was dropped by whoever took?
Who, me? Who? Oh, the sheriff?
Nancy Guthrie.
Probably be a foot taller.
Well, every piece of evidence, just like every clue, is vital. And I would never tell my community, oh, don't bother us with that. Don't bother. But that glove was 2 miles away. So we prioritize it. We look at it. We'd be crazy not to go and pick that up and look at it. But since then, we've had reports of gloves being found 5-10 miles away. We still go out there and grab those, and we look into it, and we prioritize it and prepare it for processing of evidence.
But you haven't discovered whether or not Nancy Guthrie's DNA was on that glove.
The glove was sent for DNA, and that's all I know right now.
You're still waiting. I'm sure if her DNA.
How long does DNA take?
Was on that sheriff, you would have been the first person to get that phone call.
I would hope so.
Do you have any doubt you're going to solve this case? Do you have any doubt we're ever going to know what happened?
No, I have complete trust in my team. This is a team of young men and women, and now we have several teams of young men and women who do this every day. I would put their work up against anybody. Their homicide rate solvency is probably closest to 100% of any city this size. We're going to solve this. We're going to find this person, and we're going to find Nancy.
Sheriff Chris Nanos, thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate it.
So in all, the sheriff's, the line that stuck with me from the sheriff today was, there is no daylight between local law enforcement and the FBI here. Again, there is no daylight between local law enforcement and the FBI here. That's what the sheriff says. And to underscore it, he did all these interviews. And I know that people have been taking the piss out of him online saying, wait, no interview.
Not only, yes, I remember the Richard Jewell thing, but not only did it ruin his life, I think personally, it eventually ended up taking his life. I mean, because he was already kind of a portly fella. And I think the stress eventually killed him, honestly.
interviews being granted, no press conferences, and then, oh, here's my interview. I felt the same way. I thought, well, hold on. What is it? You're either doing interviews or you're not doing interviews, or you're selecting.
I mean, it's not only that he was falsely accused, they found the person that did it. And then the FBI did not. I remember the FBI didn't like publicly acknowledge it.
You know, friendlies.
But I know when it was going on, he was like having heart problems, and it was very, very sad.
I'm not sure that he was selecting friendlies, because Fox News, you know, had that report last night saying that there's this acrimony, and he gave Fox News an interview. You know, he gave Matt Finn the interview. So I don't know. I'm just here to report what I get. So Sheriff put out this statement, and it's far-reaching. I want to read it for you because there's things in it that weren't in some of the reporting. So I want you to have all the info instead of.
Okay, well, that's not true. Same thing happened to Cosby. That's not true. Not true.
Of the info. Okay. Good afternoon, media partners. Investigation. He headlines each segment. So, investigation. The Pima County Sheriff's Department and the FBI continue to work jointly on this case. Our strong partnership is critical, and we remain fully committed to this.
No, I don't know what happened. I don't know if she got canned or I have no idea.
Collaborative investigation. Pretty strong language. To ensure consistency and streamlined testing, evidence requiring forensic analysis is being sent to the same out-of-state lab that has been utilized since the beginning of this case. This decision was discussed with and agreed upon by local FBI leadership. Local field office guys. That's different than the feds up in Washington. So maybe there's some disconnect between the Washington folks and the locals. I don't know. But listen, that's really strident language, you know? Strong partnership, fully committed to collaborative investigation, and also highlighting what he told Elizabeth Vargas. And that is that we started this investigation on Sunday because the locals respond. It's their job. It is the locals' job to respond to local crime and process a scene. And so when they got a missing woman and they've got some evidence, they're going to send it to the place they're used to using and the thing that they're going to get back fastest. So that makes sense that he would then put that in the statement. Let me continue. Evidence. Several gloves have been located during the investigation. The closest gloves were found approximately 2.
The thing was, even if I'm not surprised, but ultimately, I think it cost him his life.
2 miles from the home. Reports that a glove was found inside the residence or on the property are inaccurate. All collected evidence has been submitted for laboratory analysis. DNA other than Nancy Guthrie's and those in close contact to her has been collected from the property. Investigators are working to identify who it belongs to. We are not disclosing where that DNA was located.
Why are we talking about Bill Cosby?
Leads. Next section. Investigators continue to follow up on all leads. The suspect description released by the FBI this week remains a key focus. However, investigators are not ruling out any individuals or possibilities. No suspect vehicles have been identified. Identified. It's a huge word. Identified to us. That doesn't mean that they don't have something on their own radar that they're just not making public. We ask the public to continue submitting actionable tips. All submitted videos are being reviewed. There was a statement that the sheriff made actually last night to Mary Coleman, local affiliate KOLD, when he did his interview with her, as we were all wondering, I thought you weren't doing interviews. Anyway, Mary Coleman did an interview. And at the end of her tweet, she said that the sheriff said, they've got some really good leads. That stood out to me. They've got some really good leads. It's promising, right? You just want hope.
Not just okay.
In a case like this, yeah, it's mystery, yeah, all the rest, but you just want hope. You know, just think again, this is somebody's mother. Just imagine if this was yours. This was your mother. Hope is all you have to go on. And you just want every scrap of it you can get. So when I see a line like that, we've got real leads. I seize on those things. I like that. All right, video requests, next section of his statement. The Pima County Sheriff's Department will send an additional message to surveillance camera users in the Guthrie neighborhood via the Neighbors app this afternoon, meaning today. And again, today is February the 13th. Pool service. This is important.
For News Nation. And senior story producer Paula Froelich has closely tracked this case. Sources are telling her now that Savannah Guthrie may not return to the Today Show after her mom was apparently kidnapped. Of course, this has been an extremely traumatizing experience for Savannah and her siblings. Their mom just taken in the middle of the night, the ransom notes being sent demanding millions very publicly. And weeks later, still no word on where their mom could be tonight.
Yoda, now I talk like Yoda now. Yoda, now I talk like.
Even though the family assures the kidnappers that they
Shut up, Yoda. The worst character. You're not a good character.
will pay their
Later,
demands.
Jason.
For more, we are now joined by Paula Froelich. Paula, appreciate you taking the time on a Saturday night. And I understand your sources are saying that Savannah just may not be returning to the Today Show after this. I think all of us can understand that. Savannah reportedly saying that she feels like her mom was targeted because of her, realizing that her husbands, her kids, her siblings could become
Had a lot of spare time as a kid.
targets as well. What more can you tell us about this report and overall how Savannah is doing now?
I mean, Savannah's a mess, obviously. We've seen it. We all empathize. And, you know, as you said, people would get it if she needed a very long break. First of all, we don't even know where her mother is. We don't know if she's alive. We're all hoping she is. But life for Savannah is very different right now. And it's going to be different going forward. You know, she has to worry about not just her mother, she has to worry about her sister, her brother, her two children, and her husband, because this is the unimaginable horror of what she's looking at. And going forward, there will be security for everybody at all times, because this absolutely came out of the blue. And I think she's really concerned that it was because of her job. You know, there was that Today Show where they did the at home with, and she took viewers to Tucson.
Oh, God. She's like blaming herself.
She's introduced viewers to her mom before. And
I never even knew that.
And people with bad characters could easily look at something like that and say, oh, this is an elderly woman who lives alone. Okay, we're going to take advantage of that. And it's just, I don't think she can function right now very well.
Of course not. And we still don't know a motive here. Do you believe that there is more behind the scenes that the public does not know about why exactly Nancy could have been targeted and kidnapped here?
I think there's always more than the public knows, because, of course, the police and the FBI need to keep things very close to the vest. However, there are things, again, leading back to the at home with, and people.
I'm not sure, but I think I know that person.
Seeing this, and people also understand, you know, Savannah is very high profile and her salary is in the millions. This has been printed before. So unfortunately, people
Here you
say,
go.
oh, yes, this is an easy mark.
Yeah, and tell me more about the at home with segment and her inclusion, you know, for all of the viewers who watch the Today Show. Were there enough identifying characteristics there where someone would have been able to piece together where this home is, the address of it, information? As you say, there are opportunistic people out there.
Unfortunately, AI and Google are very good. Most people can find out the address of
Everybody
almost
say hi to my
anyone
sister. She's
in the
in the
state.
chat. Hi. Hi.
Age, unless the house is bought by an LLC or a private company, which most people don't do. So it's actually very easy. And looking at this video of her with the at home, it's very easy.
All right. Okay. You can take your seal and second seal, third seal.
Easy to look
All the seals are the same, dude.
at someone and say, okay, she's
You only have to say it one time.
not going to be well guarded. I can find out where she lives and everything about her in, I don't know, 10 hot seconds.
Hi, Jack.
I hear it.
It's terrifying.
It is terrifying. I really appreciate you coming on and talking about this tonight. Paula Froelich, thank you so much. Good to see you.
Maybe one.
Thank you and happy Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below.
Dang it. You got us. Let me see. I think that's really it. You know, that wasn't not a heavy day. Hi, Josh's sister. Hello, everyone. Josh's sister, Josh's sister, Josh's sister, Josh's sister, Josh's sister, Josh's sister. We got Governor brother nipple ringed. Hi, Josh's sister. Cuomo in the chat. I did. I said it. What do I win? Do I win anything? Yeah, she's been there once or twice. She never watches my show. This is actually strange that she's actually here. Yeah, I think that's about it. Josh's sister. The only sister I have. Yeah, really my sister. Yeah. Yeah, she's really my sister. I mean, I'm kind of taking people's word for it, but yeah, I think so. Who? Thanks. Appreciate it. I didn't say you didn't love my show. I mean, there's nothing not to love, but I will say that you don't watch it very often. But I appreciate it. I love this channel. I love the sheriff. He is talking in circles. Imagine his marriage proposal. We don't know what we don't know. And I bought the ring from a lab in Florida that grows diamonds. No, I think I just gave him, I can't remember. I gave him $50, I think. So, but I should have got him that titanium. I should have got him the titanium plunger. Don't know what I don't know, but yeah, it's just whatever. It's ridiculous. I do know. I know what I don't know. That's right. Thank you, Jenny. Appreciate that. Thank you, Mountain Mama. No. No, I don't. I miss when Walmart was open 24/7. There's nothing to do at 2:33 a.m. Yeah, not the plunger story. Not the plunger again. Yeah. Yeah, one time when I was on the air, she called because I think she wanted to borrow my plunger, but wasn't going to let her. Like, those are some things you don't loan those things out, So I actually door dashed her a brand new plunger because my nephew, for some reason, some ungodly reason, snaps like plungers, like they're toothpicks. So I was like, here you go. It was a present. And then he snapped that one. It's like Lenny of Mice and Men when he pets the rabbits, except with him, it's plungers. The door dashed plunger. That's exactly what happened. And I'll pet it and kiss it and squeeze it. Snap. Like, dude, quit snapping plungers. All right, guys. Tomorrow, interview room is on. Depending on if there are developments, I don't know if there will be or not. I hope there will be. Yeah, you can call it George. You can call it George. Hope there's some developments tomorrow, but whenever she says that, you can tell she's like pissed. She always goes, "Good night, Joshua," or "Goodbye." Whenever we're on the phone and I say something that annoys her, "You're ruining Christmas." That's what she said. "You're ruining Christmas." She goes, "Goodbye, Joshua," and then she hangs up, just like that. "Goodbye, Joshua." I don't know. I have no idea. Where? Here? I don't know. I don't think so. Appreciate that. Yeah, she yelled that I was ruining Christmas this year. A couple times. "You're ruining Christmas." All right, guys. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it. And we'll catch you next time. She's older than me by years and years and years and years and years. I've enjoyed the show. Thanks. Thank you. Donna, thank you. And thank you for gifting a lab after, or I say lab after. Thank you for gifting a lab membership. She's way, 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 way older than me. No, she's like a couple years older than me. Appreciate you. Good to see you, Holly. Haven't seen you in a while. Good to see you. Good night, Josh's sister. She's only 2 years. That's bull crap. You're 3. You're 3 years older. Don't lie. I'm only 2 years older. Older's older.